Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. I nearly called the video better late than never because I can't believe I started a video at 7 minutes to 10 that I've been trying to start since 9 o'clock. So I'll explain to you why this video took so long to start. To the people who are going to be viewing it on the rerun, this little preamble means nothing to you and you can fast forward this. To the people who are waiting on the live video, tonight, when we were trying to start the video, Facebook informed us that due to attempted unauthorized access from multiples of locations, Facebook locked the account. So we had to change multiples of passwords. We had to change the email password and get them to approve that, and then Facebook had to agree. So it was a lot of work to get back in, and well, we did it because we're here. But so I'm apologizing. But this is par for the course, yes. Everything that they could do, they're doing. This par for the course. This comes with the territory now, and I just accepting and rolling with the punches. So I said in my advertisement, because we had shared an event, I said that I am taking calls and WhatsApps for the full hour, 682-2110, and I'll read your WhatsApps, and I could take your calls. I'll answer anything that I could. I won't answer any calls that come from caller ID block. And you could basically call and ask anything you want. When you call, if it gets busy, you have to limit the length of time for your call. If it starts to get busy, if it gets busy at all, I don't know how many people are up and about, but my number is 682-2110, and you could WhatsApp me your question if you don't want to call, and I'll read it and answer it. Or if it's something you just want to say, if it's something that I could say, I'll say it. Or you could call. And again, for those who now jumping on board, sorry for starting so late. Somebody tried to hack the account, and Facebook locked the account. And I have a Zoom in 5 minutes, and I'm hoping Satish is on the live so that he could see. I'm telling them now. I just hoping. As you can see, I'm wearing my Citizens Union shirt. We have 663 viewers. Right. I got something today as an email that I thought I should share. More PNM deception. For about 400 days, they boasted every day, sometimes twice a day, about how well the government was handling the COVID virus, including using the incomplete, almost fraudulent Oxford study in April 2020. And most of our population believed them and abused those who did not agree. Their testing rate was abysmal, so no accurate information was ever achieved. But they were mostly or only intent on scoring political points from the situation. Now that the chickens have come home to roost, they can no longer crow and are now chickening out from admitting the truth about their handling of this virus. And that's the truth. That's the absolute truth. Not one word needs to change. Believe it. And we will ask more questions tonight. Sorry, I'm not distracted. I am just doing multiples of things. And want to answer. Good night, Mr. Phillip. With all that's being said and done, what's next? Was the end of story after the last election? How do we regain our country? I'll answer that after I take this call. Hello, good evening, you're live.
Hi, good evening, how are you going?
Tired, exhausted.
You and the wider listening public. I have some gross thing with this whole COVID situation in Trinidad because we come off our Christmas with thousands of people was in town shopping, people handling goods, resting it back down, picking it back up, resting it down. People went and visit their family, people went Christmas line, Christmas party. We didn't have a strike, boy. And now you're telling me just 50,000 people went to Tobago and we have a strike. Well, some of them saying this from the people who went to Tobago. So those people who was infected in Trinidad wasn't spreading it. So this COVID has pick and choose when it want to show its face.
And that's the kind of nonsense you have to deal with. It's like they want to believe that 50,000 plus people went to Tobago, all of them was COVID free. But Tobago had no COVID, to the point where the Prime Minister was boasting that Tobago had no COVID. So everybody in Trinidad should go to Tobago. And now Tobago have, I don't know, a couple hundred cases. And then a THA doctor said, it's not the 50,000 people who came all together in 3 days and jam up together for 2 days and then went back home together for days. It's not them. But the normal people that come in and go into Tobago, they bring it. And you have to buy that. That's what you have to buy. That's what you have to buy from that medical degree. You have to buy that.
Because people was going before the Easter and people was bragging that people in Tobago...
My brother, before I ask the question about how do we have a pharmacist and 4 junior doctors handling a pandemic, people now realize that that is a question to be asked. You have 4 junior doctors. If you had one peer-reviewed doctor, one renowned doctor, one senior doctor, and the rest of them jokers, I'll accept it. But 4 junior doctors, Parashram, Hines, Trotman, and Richards, 4, not a published document between them, 4 being led by a pharmacist. Come on, man. Wasting my time.
Correct.
Thank you.
And that 4 months with the Bradford, we had no 0 cases. So where the COVID come from, and if it is people had it, why people wasn't getting sick and needed a ventilator?
Well, I get an email tonight about commerce going on in the actual healthcare system, where political appointees that know nothing about medicine ordering around the actual medical practitioners and it causing problems with the actual administration of service. I think we need to look at what this government is doing with this COVID-19. The problem is the government. The problem is mishandling, incompetence. We're not getting information. We're not getting contact tracing. We don't know where the people getting cases from. We don't know who dying. We don't know where they're dying from. We don't know what comorbidities they had. None of it. We don't know nothing.
And the thing is, people walking in the hospital with COVID today, and by tomorrow they are dead. So something wrong.
Where it come from? I mean, it is one of 2 things at the heart of this. Okay, let's say one of 3 things. It is either the South American migrants that are coming across the borders, or it is the 50,000 people that went to Tobago and created a super spreader environment, which is most likely, or the advent of the vaccinations, which started right after that 50,000 people was in Tobago, the day, Tuesday, that day, or Monday or Tuesday. It started then. Our spike started 10 days from Easter weekend. The first big number was 85 cases on the 14th of April. So it is tied to Easter weekend and the vaccinations, and you can't discount the free flow of migrants across the borders, because we end up with 4 Brazilian cases, Brazilian variant cases, and the doctors were saying those people were not in touch with each other. So where are they getting it from? Because that's the scariest thing of all, you know. They are making you feel that COVID blowing in the breeze.
And you see the point I raised the other night, that all the time the soldiers saying down in the barracks, you ain't send them to protect the borders, but you send them out to oppress the citizens of the country. And when the lockdown done, you go and send them back in the barracks and ain't send them on the coastline to protect the citizens of the country.
But all this had done, today I just have to realize, I telling you this, for me and mine, I telling you this. After the state of emergency, because they have a heavy hand with the state of emergency, this is a bullshit law. So after this, and we get back our civil rights, Trinidadians either stand up for this country. I'm not in this to have this running argument. I'm not wed to this nonsense at all, you know. And Trinidadians have to decide, we as a people, that we either going to continue the nonsense of red and yellow foolishness, or we want a better Trinidad and Tobago. And that's up to us. But I feel a lot of the voices that you're hearing going to vanish and stop and go their way and go about their business, because a lot of them have been fighting this for a long time. And Trinidadians will be left to rue the day that we chose to set aside Trinidad as a country, Tobago as a country, and worship race and tribe and dirty money. Thanks a lot for calling me, my brother.
One more point before I go, and I keep telling people, if we don't shape up now, we're going to end up like all the African countries with all that natural resources. The leaders rape the country and all of them living abroad, and the people of the country.
But now you're preaching. There are 1 billion people in Africa. There's 300 million people in America. Africa is the wealthiest continent on the planet. I want to tell you something. You're talking to me on one cell phone. I broadcasting alive on another cell phone. Both of those cell phones require inside of them minerals that are only available on the African continent. How is Africa as a continent not the most powerful region in the world? If you have the conversation, you realize that colonization of the New World, including Africa, because Africa was colonized, Africa wasn't allowed to grow, even though, and again, what I don't understand is history started in Africa, so Africa is the oldest world and the New World at the same time. Because these countries like Portugal and Spain and France and England and Holland and Germany, those countries that tried to expand and went on empire building, everybody rip up Africa, change their language, change their religion, change their identity. Africa in a mess. China was the same way, and China pushed everybody out of China, and there was a policy called One China. That's what it was called, One China. And when the army, because it was a set of feudal states and a set of villages and a set of small countries that made up the big map that is China now, when the armies reached, you had two choices. You join One China, or they burn your country to the ground. Hong Kong was given to the white rats. That's what they were called, white rats. Hong Kong was given to the white rats, and they could meet them in Macau and they could meet them in Hong Kong. But they must never come into the mainland China again. And that's how there was a Hong Kong lease till 1997 that the British had, and the Chinese took back. When as soon as it was up, there was a lease. They gave them a lease to operate, and as soon as it was up, they took it back. Now you can say what you want about China. If Africa had ever united itself, it would be the most powerful continent on planet Earth. But for some reason, it is too easy to keep Africans fighting each other, boy. For some reason. For some reason, nobody is standing up to say better for the people. And again, I just want to close that comment. You can continue talking because we have no other calls coming. But I just want to tell you this. For some reason, the continent that birthed humanity, because all humans trace their ancestors back to Africa. All language was born in Africa. Science was born in Africa. The study of the stars. The great, oh God, we're getting a call now. Let me wrap up and you and I will continue that conversation, but let me see what this person want to make a contribution, okay?
All right.
Thanks for calling in, my brother. Hello, good evening, you're live.
Hello, good night, Mr. Alexander.
Hi.
I just have a question. Not a question really, but a piece of advice I believe Trinidadians should really be looking into. And it's good to have a digging in and looking into the whole COVID scenario, but the macro view as well, we need to really be paying attention to it, and that is the economy. Because all these lockdowns and the government grabbing more and more power could result in a situation where we head into what a type of Venezuela scenario. Now, I'm not saying we're going down the whole Venezuela road because, one, we are not a socialist country, or I wouldn't brand us as that because we still have private enterprise and somewhat a type of free market existing. However, if we lose control of the situation as a country, not just COVID going to get worse, and not just people's livelihood, the whole balance of governance could go down the drain.
I want to interrupt you because you're saying plenty of things that I want to comment on and letting you go on and on and on. But you're not pausing and you're changing a lot of things. I want to tell you something.
Yes.
No, I want to tell you this. Everything that's happening now with COVID-19, believe it or not, there is a good to this, you know. This economy that we have now, it's not a real economy, you know. Venezuela didn't have a real economy, you know. Venezuela has more oil than Saudi Arabia, you know. Venezuela has the richest oil reserves in the world. Look at the condition of that country. It's not about socialism and democracy and capitalism. It's who control your money.
Yes.
It's who control your money. I want you to understand this. A small handful of people that are operating political parties as puppets are using the institution of court and law and parliament to enslave 1.4 million people. That is what is going on in Trinidad and Tobago. Nothing else. Everything else is pieces in the puzzle, but that's the puzzle.
100% in agreement.
This economy we have, none of it was ever real. We've been, as a people, for the last 40 years, playing with oil money. And everybody benefited from it to some extent, but the majority of it was stolen by those who were quick to realize that power could corrupt this country and steal this money fast, and they did. But Trinidad and Tobago has never had a real economy. Our entire economy, our entire budget every year was pegged to the price of oil. And now, our budget is going to be pegged to taxation. The revenue authority that is coming is going to make each and every Trinidadian the new oil. How hard you could work is how much taxes you will pay for them to live the life and spend the money that they are accustomed spending.
Right.
And that is going to be the wake-up call for everybody.
And you see, now what you're saying there should be the writing on the wall for most Trinidadians. However, it isn't, because we don't have a media that really do any kind of critical thinking. I mean, if you listen to some of these press
But that's not
conferences and
important.
questions,
That's not important. Again, I'm tired of Trinidadians making excuses. Reza Pahlavi was an American puppet. He was called the Shah of Iran. You ever heard of the Shah of Iran?
yeah.
Ayatollah Khomeini spread his messages throughout Iran on cassette tapes. And people was copying tapes and sharing with one another and talking to one another.
And this is what led to the Iranian Revolution.
And I'm saying to you, America in 1776 stood against the might of the British Empire. You do not need the media. You do not need permission from the establishment to have an opinion. The thing I have been saying from the moment I got politically active is that we've been irresponsible with our democracy.
Yeah, but our republic, and you see,
there's a difference again.
Like to use the word democracy.
No, but again, a republic is.
You see, the republic is it have a difference.
No, but a republic is a nation ruled by law, and that exists because we have a democracy, and there's a strange coexistence of what was happening here. But the democracy.
Constitution comes into play when you talk about republic.
But the democracy is all of us.
That constitution that's going on right now. And people taking it lightly, yes, I associate and I understand, yeah. But there are things we need to be paying attention to ensure to hold the government accountable that those enshrined rights on Section 4 of the Constitution, Chapter 1, Part 1, are to be given back to the
But you live in a country where your constitution gives you those rights in Section 4 and takes it back in Section 8. And we don't find that that's silly.
Yeah.
We don't find that is stupid. So your constitution lends you rights. And again, the constitution belongs to 1.4 million people. It belongs to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The preamble says, whereas the people. Because you don't have a country without the people. You don't have a nation without the people. But what's happened in Trinidad and Tobago is we've been beaten into submission and have ended up in a kind of hostage situation where race and getting your section dominates how we view the country. So there are 510,000 people that are compartmentalized as traditional UNC supporters, and they can't stray from that. Their party, the UNC, is a shadow of what it once was. They're not getting that because they can't open their minds to the reality that the UNC that they were supporting before doesn't exist anymore. The same thing with the PNM supporters. PNM supporters beating up themselves on social media that PNM in power, so they in power, but they have no benefits of being in power, you know.
Yeah, but there's a bigger, sorry to interrupt you, but there's a bigger psychological operation at play here, where these people who really buy into this left foot, right foot, red and yellow behavior, right, is subjecting themselves to a form of psychological manipulation by the state or by the political party in such a way they're blindsided to understand how not just a republic functions, but however a government should work, and what is expected, what should be done. You know, they have it, and it really encourages dependency syndrome.
Let me tell you what you're missing.
Dependency syndrome could destroy your nation in the long run.
Yeah, but it's not so difficult. It's not so difficult. This is what you're missing. You have two slices of bread in this sandwich. You have the authority structure, which is all the public offices, and you have the people. Those two things come together to make the nation state of Trinidad and Tobago. There is an agreement that the power structure will be paid by the people to operate the country to the benefit of the people. You understand that?
Yes, fully.
Along the way, some people of the people moved away from the people and decided to find a way to manipulate the power structure so that the power structure will work for them. So the people still pay the power structure, but the power structure don't work for the people no more. And every law that has been passed in the past 6 years, has been laws that limit your freedom a little bit incremental at a time.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
And I've said that, and I'm saying to you that for this to be a democracy, racist politics cannot continue to determine where we go. And if our only answer, if every time I speak, people say, yeah, boy, Phillip, you're bright, you have the answers, we love what you're saying, because I'm reading. A fellow named Ronald Bowler, who is a strong UNC spokesperson, sat down today and came to a conclusion that how the medical system should run is this. What he didn't know is that what he said was this was almost verbatim, word for word, the public health part of the manifesto of the Progressive Empowerment Party. Almost word for word. And Trinidadians, if you read that 21 policies, the average person should kick themselves, because that, everything there would have fixed the country. Now, none of this is boasting. That's years of work went to make that. And it was a book that was being written called Reinventing Trinidad and Tobago, Reboot the Republic. That's a book that I was writing. And that is from interviews and meetings with judges and DPPs and former ministers, former prime ministers. There's a lot of information in that, and we took out of that the mechanics and the guts. I want to tell you this. The PNM supporters know that their party facilitates high-level theft and corruption that will never benefit them. And the UNC supporters know the same of their party. The two groups fight each other on the ground as if there is a difference, when both of the leadership structures of their parties are sold to the same group of people. So that regardless of which yellow or red in office, the same puppeteers benefit.
And this group of people that you're speaking of, right, this is nothing new in terms of history, you know. There's an economist and legislator back in France in the 19th century named Phillip, and he said when plunder becomes a way of life for a group of people, group of men in a society, over the course of time, they create for themselves a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it, and it has been proven true for
Benjamin Franklin said it even simpler. When the people learn that they could vote themselves money from the treasury, it will herald the end of the republic. Let me take another call. Thanks a lot for calling, my
Thank you very much. Take care.
Hello, good evening. You're live.
Yes, Phillip, I want to return to the question of the reasons for this great spike that we had. And I want to suggest to you that the third reason that you provided is vaccines as the cause of this great spike. I can send you numerous articles from credible sources.
Listen, they swamped me. They swamped me with videos, articles. I sure if I put together everything that has been sent to me on vaccines, I could fill the Library of Congress. I know. There's a lot of information outside there. And I want to tell you something. At some point in our history, I don't even know if it'll be in my lifetime, but at some point, we will find out what took place. COVID-19. I mean, I don't think that this was an accident. I don't think it was a bat. I don't think it was a bat. I don't think it was a woman bite a bat in a food market in Wuhan.
Yeah, but I want to return to what's happening in Trinidad right now. I want to suggest to you that the persons who are vaccinated, there's a thing called shedding now, which is the very persons who are vaccinated through this process called shedding is infecting other people.
That sounds realistic. It sounds like they're vaccinated and they're protected, but it sounded realistic. I'm telling you, it's.
Now, that's the latest discovery by some scientists.
Listen, it's not. It is too. It's too. It is too coincidental that every nation that had a spike after the vaccination program started.
Yeah, there are countries that.
Now I say that, and No, I say that and people will say,
Under the brand.
I say that and people will say I'm an anti-vaxxer. I'm not. In fact, I'm the opposite of an anti-vaxxer. I believe that vaccinations work. And from the days when Joseph Lister and people like him was stumbling upon that you could pre-infect to develop antibodies. When we didn't even understand how the human body worked, we understood how the human body responded, and I get that.
Yeah.
This COVID-19, how it was handled, this wasn't handled by medical professionals. In fact, medical professionals was sidelined. We heard from politicians and media operatives. This was discussed by people who had no training and no way to explain how they were speaking about this. The World Health Organization was sending documentation and everybody were reading on cue. And I asked a couple nights ago, Trinidad, like many other countries, in November and December, we were starting to get information from the World Health Organization, from the CDC, that something was going on in China and that it was dangerous. To the point where Trinidad, we took it upon ourselves to declare legal notice 34. A public health ordinance was passed on January 31st, 2020. What I don't understand, to this day, why we didn't close the country then.
Well, because we are an incompetent country and competent people. That is why.
If we knew it was coming, because that's what was written, that's literally the words that's written, that because of the speed of international travel, it will eventually arrive here and will lead to a devastating effect on our public health. If we knew that, we didn't just sit on our hands. We had carnival.
Well, I didn't expect the government to cancel carnival at all over this. I mean, that is.
But my friend, the failure to act then, and I want you to understand this, the incompetence of the government at the time. And I don't care what's going on in India, and I don't care what's going on in Brazil, I care what's going on in New Zealand, I care what's going on in Sweden. Show me the countries where it works, and I want to know why we didn't work. I want to know why we got such a heads up and such a head start. Why didn't we take action to protect our people and our economy? We've destroyed both.
Well, all right, that is, you can't do anything about that right now. But I want to end by this because I want to give other people a chance.
Sure.
The more we get vaccinated, the more shedding will take place, and the more infections will take place, and the more deaths will take place.
Well then brace. Well then brace for yourself because 100,000 just touched down.
Thousands and thousands of people get vaccinated. There are going to be more thousands and thousands of deaths. This is just the start, and we better wake up to this.
I just want to tell you this. You said you wanted to save that to close. I want to tell you this to close with you. That this thing is no respecter of persons. And black, white, red, green, every shade in between, top, bottom, poor, rich, it hitting everybody. In fact, it decimating the wealthy faster than it hitting those on the bottom rung for some reason.
Everybody.
No, but for some reason.
This is something that we have to take seriously. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Thank you for making the call, my brother. Stay strong. Stay safe. Let's see what WhatsApps we're getting. There's a reason the US not using an AstraZeneca, but they won't say. This person says that's the spike. Also, somebody sent me this, right? My name is, and I just wanted to say to my family, and I support you, and thank you for all you do. I sincerely hope that people listen to what you're saying and wake up. Also, pertaining to the video I sent, I have two questions. I would like you to publicly ask our Chief Medical Officer if, based on the information presented to him and from an epidemiological point of view, he saw a spike coming, who were the people that thought the numbers weren't big enough? 2, if, as he said, he gave this warning before Easter, then why did the Prime Minister go against his expert advice and encourage people to travel to Tobago? If based on the upward trend in cases he anticipated a snowball effect, then why on earth weren't restrictions imposed then? For the life of me, I cannot understand how people just accepting blatant lies, inconsistency, and misinformation. And to you, my friend, and I'm assuming that you're listening now, my question to you is this. If 1 and 2 is true, where's the CMO's integrity? Why has he not resigned? Why? Why has the CMO not resigned? If he gave the Prime Minister advice that it was spiking and Tobago was ill-advised, and the Prime Minister went against his advice and led to the snowball, why has the CMO not resigned? And that is an important question. And I can't take the CMO seriously or rumors to the effect that he was guiding anybody effectively if he's still there making our money. Hear this one. Hey, hearing you on the live now, don't you think after all these old generations move on and become history, all the people that was around during Massa days and younger generations like myself, I'm 21 by the way, will be able to pick up the mantle and turn the country around? Let me tell you the answer to that. And I hope you're watching still. Joyce Meyer, she's a televangelist. She's one of those big, she's packed stadiums. She's like Joel Osteen and the next fella from the Potter's house. Joyce Meyer said somebody walked up to her after a meeting, and she said everybody had a good time. And somebody walked up to her after the meeting and he said, I wish I could win the lottery so I could put all of it in your hands. And she said to him, with all due respect, if you're not moved to give me the $20 that's in your pocket now, I doubt you'll give me the lottery winnings. And that's the answer to the young people who are waiting for the old people to die off. This is a numbers game. 20,000 children do SEA every year. 20,000 children. For some reason, that number not changing. So I have to assume that there are 20,000 children in Standard 1, 20,000 children in Standard 2, 20,000 children in Standard 3, 20,000 children in Standard 4, 20,000 children in Standard 5 SEA class. I'm coming back to you on this, eh? Hello, good evening, you're live.
Hi, good night. Pleasant good night to everyone. I'm just calling to say I thank you very, very much for being an eye-opener. I've been a follower of yours since 2017.
Thank you.
And every single thing you used to share on the Facebook.
Thank you very much, my friend.
Have a pleasant night.
You too. Okay, so there's 10 years of school from Standard 1 to Form 5. So let's say, and Standard 1 is 5 years old, right? 6 is Standard 2, 7 Standard 3, 8 is Standard 4. No? What age? Yeah, 5. So they have 5 years before. But the 10 years of 5 to 15, that is basic school, primary and secondary school, if each class is 20,000 people, then that's 200,000 people. That's 5. Then they have 4, 3, 2, 1. So they have a next, if 20,000 people is a year, and there's 4 more years, that's 80,000. That's 280,000 of our people from baby to 16. That's just school. every year that you count after that, every age group that you count after that, count 20,000 people. Some will die. Diminishing returns, you're not adding to that. Some will die. But then when the others make sure that going back to the bottom count, all I'm saying is all of the young people who are around now, all of them, from the age of 16, 17, 18 up, all of the young people, you, 21, your age group, the 20s, the people in the 20s, that's 200,000 people. The people in their 30s, 200,000 people. If the people in their 20s and their 30s alone woke up and stood up for country, it'll demolish the PNM and the UNC in one generation. What's going on is too many people are just not concerned with Trinidad. I read things on Facebook, and I don't comment on everything people put out. But the worst position to be in is to be able to say, I told you so, you know. They have no glory in I told you so. None. Being proven right on board the Titanic, that it will hit the iceberg, and that it is mortally wounded, and that it will sink. You know, 2/3 of the people died, and they didn't have to. Misinformation killed them. The Titanic had already hit the iceberg, and the musicians, the orchestra was still playing, because the captain said the ship is unsinkable. Misinformation sank the Titanic. If the young people... Hello, good evening, your life.
Hi, good evening, Phil. I just studied this thing, right? And up till this weekend, I studied and I see how is the country and why is the country the way that it is. And I came up with this conclusion, I think you said it a while ago, that the opposition and the ruling party is two sides of the same coin. Right? And I came to that conclusion like 2 nights ago, and I said there really is no UNC, as it were. There is a PNME and a PNMB.
There's an Afro PNM and an Indo PNM, yeah?
There's a PNME and a PNMB. Because literally, Kamala is doing, she's reading from the same PNM playbook, which is get everything centered around her. Because up till this day, in 2021, you still have people voting for Williams. You
Yeah.
still have old people that voted, so that is the cult of personality. Right? And that is what Kamala straight. So she studied what Williams did, what the PNN did, what is their mindset, what is their and she's literally copying the same thing and having.
Yeah, but before you go too far with the Kamala thing, I want to ask you a question.
Proceed.
Why does the people take it on?
They're beaten into submission.
No, but we have so many educated people. The UNC supporters boast. They boast about their education, and then...
Isn't smart. Education don't mean smart. They just mean educated Fitzgerald Hines. Where you tell it about? Fitzgerald is an educated man.
You see the person who came up with that thing?
He came as a lawyer.
You see, he was a police officer and then a lawyer. Now he's a politician. But the person who came up with that thing to stop rescuing Trinbagonians from the consequences of their voting, as heartless as that sounds,
Wait talking about.
somebody said, stop feeding the homeless, stop organizing hampers, stop bailing people out from the consequences of their vote. If you're a parent you learn quick that you could block, you could shield your child from just about everything, but they have no learning for them until they experience it. I could tell you what a shock feels like. I could tell you what a burn feels like. But when you get shocked and you get burned, I'd rather use no words.
You understand. And Philip, I follow you. I have evangelized for you. I voted for you. I came to your meetings.
Thank you very much for that.
I did up till this week. I shared the video that you did with your brother because one of my friends, my schoolmate, came down with COVID, and there was some information that I shared, amongst the group that we're in, and it's like this fella talking sense, right? The same by the grounds, man. This fella talking, thank you. Sometimes I used to say Phillip is like, yes, but your fella does talk sense. Take the sense of the nonsense and go with that.
Look at me. Look at me on the video. Look at me on the video. I'm neither black nor Indian. In a country where if I have to make a political difference, I have to appeal to people who have been accustomed voting race. I have to be able to talk in the poem if Rudyard Kipling say to speak so that the common man and the king could understand you. And that's what I've been doing. I've spoken like myself, and I've spoken in ways that some people look at, and a lot of the people who wouldn't speak like how I speak would speak like how I speak if they weren't putting on airs. We train people to pretend that there's something that they're not. But I remember once I was walking through Fairways, one of the richest areas in Trinidad, and I saw this wealthy white man run after his dog that ran out his yard. And the way he shouted and his natural self was, he could have just as easily be in anywhere else in Trinidad. We have the same way, the innate Trinidadianness, and then we put on masks and pretend that we're something else.
We do. But I think, sort of, and to conclude, the two things that are the solutions for issues, or amongst the two things that are solutions for issues, is one, the UNC, which is why I did not agree with you with the UNC foray, but I understood. And I think that is the best thing to do. You don't tag me.
No, you're not wrong. I want to tell you something. Sometimes I count I have more years behind me than in front of me. I'm 54. And sometimes I get impatient, but I have been advised. I mean, my priest advised me years ago. He said, Philip, this is not your time. He said, Trinidad, he said, you are actually delaying what will bring a time for somebody like you. You see, when Greenvale flooded, only the PNM was supposed to deal with Greenvale. The rest of Trinidad was supposed to watch Greenvale because a PNM minister sold himself land as Greenvale and developed it and sold it to the HDC, knowing it was a floodplain. That was fraud. The rest of the country was supposed to step away from Greenvale in horror because those people who were sold Greenvale were supposed to bring a class action lawsuit against the state. All of them who settled for small money and party card and hamper and shit. But again, when I keep saying I am not forming any more parties and I am not running for elections, people ask me, why do I still do these live videos and this work? Why do I still do it? Because for as long as I am here, I will care. And for as long as I am here, I will help to try to cut the road for whoever else is going to come, whoever it is. And I don't think that, honestly, there is many people that I would vote for. I would no longer consider voting is your right and your responsibility, so you should vote, and even if they don't have good candidates, pick the least bad. I disagree with that. I think that is why we have no money. The country broke and broken. And I think that is why we have nowhere to go. We have nowhere to handle COVID-19. Our public health system is an open canker sore. It is a way by which business people steal money, $5 billion at a time.
Know that because people don't interact. And until but listen, I was oblivious to that until my sister ended up in the same public health system and died because doctors, specialists don't work on weekends. You can't go there and meet them. No, they have to be gone. I was like, how can you mean that? That doesn't make no sense. Signal has stopwatch, Signal take holiday. We mean they're not there. And they don't know that because they don't have to interact with that.
But I want to, you see, you're talking about things that I want to tell you, I have scars from this, I have scars. A wealthy friend of mine. I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of family members because of politics, because people deliberately lead themselves astray. But a very wealthy friend of mine who lost his wealth because his father got ill. And a lot of people, especially in the States, who end up homeless, is medical bills, this destroyer, I mean, you will spend your last dollar trying to save your loved one's life. And you'll pauperize yourself, you'll put yourself in debt. He ended up in debt, and his father still died. And then he got sick. And he ended up in, and I keep talking about this because it's not leaving my mind. He ended up spending his last days after arguing with me for years when he was on top and high on top, that PNM was the solution and I don't know what I'm talking about. He spent his last days literally on a piss-soaked mattress in the Port of Spain General Hospital and got to the point where he sent a message for me to say you was right. That's useless to me. All that does is hurt me because then I feel like I didn't do enough.
You are incrementally off, but there is beaten into submission to a thought on.
That's a lazy thought. I do agree with you. You not beaten into submission. I not beaten into submission. I watching my friends enrich themselves. I tell you, I have family members who cuss me and tell me that I have made our name difficult to do public crime. You know how much members of my family vex with me because the Alexander name, because of me, they can't get into political crime?
Sir, you big and you are set. I have laughed. You know the fight that I have to fight. I have conversations about changing the mindset in Parsley Street, Lavender. You know the kind of conversations in the Candidacy Center. You know the conversations I had to have to try to get people to understand that, listen, you can't keep voting, there is an option. PP put forth an option, utilize it. And it's like, and back talk and more talk, laugh too. That is where I stood up from. So I understand. And when Fitzgerald Hines was putting out a rally, and right as Fitzgerald Hines was on the back road, about 300 feet from where his base was a crater in the road. And I passed there the day when he was going on his rally. I said, these people have no mind. Right outside the office of the Wayne Basin have a big crater, and they're oblivious to it. Why? Because they've been trained. I don't know if it's Stockholm, I don't know what it is. But
we can't continue to say that. I tell you, up to today, I was argued with. My son is a big man. He's tell me every day, he is tired of watching me waste my life over this country. That is what my son's position is.
To leave this thing, but to still fight for the country. I'm grateful that you are, because it gives us men like JC Silva, myself, my wife, and others hope that listen, there is someone that we can rally around and champion the cause and say, okay, we can point to.
I think I failed. I think I failed miserably. And I'll tell you why I failed. Because you're calling good names. You're calling good names and you all are doing good work. But I want to tell you something why I failed miserably. And I accept my failure. You know. I accept my total failure. No. I want to tell you. Listen, people are dying from political incompetence. People, forget COVID-19. 500 people die in this country every year from gunshots, from murder, from bullets and guns that come through our porous borders. I've been talking about that for years. Women have gone missing. People are going missing. People are being trafficked. We know about it. People are putting up information. People dressed like police, people in black X-Trail. The country, life in Trinidad, and I said it in a Rima. I said, nobody happy in Trinidad. You lie if you say you are. There's a reason Trinidad is the #1 consumer of alcohol and illegal narcotics. We are the #1. Trinidadians don't want to hear this. They want me to come on this video tonight and tell them they have a magic switch. I'm telling you this. This is my last political statement. I am going to walk again from Arima to Port of Spain. And I'm going to work for Andrea Barrett again to serve that petition on that parliament. That's not ending for me until the petition served to the parliament. I know they're already debating 3 of the issues and they're trying to catch up before the petition comes. No problem. But I've given my word and I am going to walk from Arima to Port of Spain again. I'll tell you this. If Trinidadians are awake now to their responsibility, if we've done any work at all to make Trinidadians realize that we have a responsibility for this country. I talk about after the state of emergency, when we get our rights back. And I talk about when COVID-19 back down to 10 cases a day or if it gone away. So when we walk, 200,000-300,000 people walk with me. We ain't walking for nothing else other than to say we're walking in solidarity for a better country. And if that could happen, I will rethink my position. But if I reach in tongue by myself, I will bless that girl's memory. I would have done everything that I promised I would do. And I want to say this there. I went to a meeting in King George V Park the day after Shannon Banfield's body was found. And I kept going to other people's meetings. You see, when these bullshit artists ask why we did this for Andrea Barrett and nobody else, that was a disingenuous lie because other people were organizing those things. And I was going to other people's things. And I remember going to that thing in King George V Park and watch all these people stunt because they were just there to weep. It was like a grand weep session. Nothing came out of it. When I stood up for Andrea Barrett, I knew it wasn't going to stop. We got 128,000 signatures. Physical signatures on a petition. That's the largest petition in this country's history. That is because we did not let it go. It reached PBS. We did not let it go. And the point I want to make to you is that Trinidadians could pick up any issue. And any one person could pick up any issue and don't let it go. And if 100 people have 100 issues that pull 100,000 signatures, that's 1 million of us.
Correct. Correct, but it's...
Don't frustrate yourself, don't get depressed. We will meet and we will talk after this. And I promise you, I will continue to help, you know. I will continue to help. But there comes a time when and you know what I was going to say about that King George V Park thing? The thing that I realize people have is a lot of guilt. People have a lot of guilt. And they know that we're doing shit as a country. And they know that they're being irresponsible. So every time somebody die, they'll show up for the wake. And they'll show up to mourn. And they'll twist their garment a little bit and weep. We've wept. When Terrence Dial saying wept for the people drinking. We good at that. We good at stunting. Stay in the course. Stay in the course, we bad at. We lousy at that. Pandey in government. Pandey in Parliament since Williams.
Look at the fight. Don't you get in with this thing? Every move you say you're going to move, them looking to counter you because
And that's all right. That is okay. But that is okay. You see, if I was somebody else trying to call and he calling in again, let me take his call and you and I will talk more about this later, okay?
Yeah, man.
Stay strong. All right, Daniel, sorry I missed your call twice. You could call back in now and I'll take your call. Somebody said, I like your way of thinking. As long as you are here, you will care for the future generation. It's an indigenous concept that we must leave the land for 7 generations in the future. Both the PNM and UNC have kept the people in bondage, eat our food. We need to recognize our existence, and that of the future generations are tied to each other. And tell you this. Tonight I was going to do this live video and setting it up. Bella, she's going to be 3 in 8 days. And she said to me, you're going to do a live video? She said live video. And because she want to play with me. I won't get this time back. Ever. I give up a lot of time with my son to fight this fight. None of this is complaining. Believe you me. None of it is complaining. Hello, good evening, your life.
Hello, good evening. Yes, I am calling in connection with the COVID-19 vaccinations.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, what I am seeing happening here is that we, in Trinidad, are not getting the vaccines rapidly enough. And with 10,000 coming in, another 10,000 coming in, if we continue the way we're going to take longer than a year.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question as a big man.
Listening.
Dominic Hadid bought vaccines. Dominic Hadid bought vaccines and was able to vaccinate prime ministers in Caribbean islands. He is a businessman. You trying to tell me our government that was drawing down billions of dollars from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund couldn't have buy the vaccines for the people who put the money in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund in the first place?
Well, you know.
Ask your question. Is that yes or no?
Well, of course they could.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So you are not the only one thinking about those things. The problem is the people who have the authority to do something about it don't. And what I don't understand is why the voters forgive those things.
Now, what I'm concerned about is, listen, if we don't get herd immunity, this thing is going to mutate in Trinidad, you know. You like how they have a Brazilian variant?
You don't need to panic like that, because I want to tell you, we went through this in 1918. There was a worse one. The Spanish flu was worse than COVID-19. COVID-19 is joke to the Spanish flu. And just as it came, just as it appeared on the scene, it disappeared. That's how viruses work. So I don't want you to think that COVID is here forever. It's not. We will develop herd immunity with or without a vaccine. 99% of the people who get COVID recover on their own. Stop panicking. I need to take another call.
All right.
Hello, good evening, you're live.
Yeah, good evening. I want to commend you on the good show you're doing tonight as usual.
Thank you.
You see, the thing about it is that one of the things about Americans that Trinidadians love to admire is the patriotism. Whether things good, bad, or indifferent, in one way. You see, right now, what's going on in this country with the COVID and the economy, everybody's suddenly country conscious and we're getting patriotic. And they want to be helping the countryman. But nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
Except that when things go back to how it was, if it ever does,
Can't.
things get back to the people.
Can't.
They just forget country and go back and dump and set up tires and chicken thing all over the place.
Trinidad is going to become a place where life is going to be hard for a long time. Our economy When I was telling people in 2020 early that we are destroying the economy, again, people think it's hyperbole. People think that you're over-exaggerating. Trinidad's economy is broken indelibly. We will continue to do business, house, go sell apartment, go sell people who have some money, and people will still have to find a way to eat and to live. But it's not the same Trinidad and Tobago where you could go and invest in a business and open up tomorrow and be successful. It is not going to be an easy road.
No, but you see, thank God for COVID because it created a situation where only people who's beyond nonsense, it will weed them out. From politician to businessman.
COVID accelerated the destruction of Trinidad and Tobago because the economy was always being destroyed. Don't get me wrong, eh? It was always being destroyed. They were always, between the PNM and the UNC, every time they come to power, they thief a little bit more. The whole country, all of us, we know. I will never forget watching a video of the UNC supporters in yellow and the PNM supporters in red outside the waterfront when the parliament was there, screaming at one another, you thief more. None of those jackasses who screaming at each other thief nothing. None of them have nothing to show for it. None of them get a share. None of them get a dollar. Look at a piece of cake. Nothing. But they outside there spitting in each other's face. You thief, like asses.
But I disagree with you. They get a t-shirt and $300 in the envelope. And the rest of the ministers get hundreds of millions. That's what they get. And that's what
You know, I want to tell you this, sir. I know all kind of people, and I know people who are involved in corruption. And a lot of those government ministers, they sell out this country for small money, like 25,000 and 50,000, and a ride in a freaking Range Rover, you know. It's not like they come out with the big money, you know. They just thief, like bag of money thief, and facilitate others. There are people who have come to government and in 5 years are billionaires. And they will mind those ministers forever. Those ministers will call them and ask them, boy, my watch stop working, I need a watch. Yeah, I send a watch for you. This is a person who didn't have a shovel and a pickaxe. Now he's a billionaire and he's sending Rolex for you. And your daughter need to go to school and you're calling them on the phone. You say, I can't make up the money for the ticket. They send a first class ticket for your daughter. Because they know at some point they've gotten it from you or they're going to get it from you. But it's literal brown bag of money. And these politicians are sold for cheap. Jackass money.
But you see, at the end of the day, Trinidadians are disingenuous because they suck up to these people because they want to get a piece for themselves. It's the same thing you're saying. You're selling out the country for next to nothing. And now look at the situation. Them politicians, they know nobody but themselves. And they're going on Facebook and saying how their house have no food. They have no work. Where are their friends to help them now? You see, what does go wrong comes right back around. Everybody catching their tail. I ain't saying no.
But right now still, Trinidadians want bacchanal. They want busing mark. They want you to talk shit. Still, they want entertainment. They still believe popcorn politics have a future. Right. And I want to tell you again, and I want to say this for other people to hear. The storm that is coming will make COVID-19 look like joke. How to say this, boy? When the mass of people in this country can't eat, what are you going to do? Today I watch a video of people in Marabella getting thrown out of their house at the height of a pandemic, and the mattress and the fan and the belongings on the side of the road, and police there to make sure they throw out. Okay, no problem, you're out. Where you going? Sleep in a drain?
Correct.
Where you going? Where are you going? Where? Where you going? You can't sleep on the street because there's state of emergency, they're rounding you up. My brother, I'll take another call here. Thanks a lot for calling.
You go ahead.
You stay safe, friend. Thanks for calling me. Hello, good evening, you're live. Hello, good evening, you're live. You hearing me? Hello, good evening, you're live. I'm going to call this person back because that's the third time he trying to get on. So I'm going to call him and see if I get through to him.
Evening.
You hearing me? You hearing me? I don't know where. You hearing me at all? Hello? I don't know where this person calling from. But, and if you hear me on the live, your WhatsApp connection not happening. So you had to use some other form. You had to dial a normal call, or I don't know what to tell you. Somebody asked me, finish your story regarding Bella and your son. I want to hear it. I think it is in response to the above. No, it's just, I don't want to, I want to learn. I want to be able to make sense. I don't want to keep making the same mistakes. Hello, good evening, you're live.
Hey, Phillip, good night, brother.
Good night.
I want to ask you a question, right? And listen to what I said. You might be more keen with the law. You might have a better idea with the law. You're a very smart fella. You're intelligent. I know this, right? I want to ask you a simple question, right? The question is this. Is there any way, well, we know that the people of Trinidad and Tobago is a waste of time, a bunch of yellow bellies, right? And the organization or the people supposed to be holding the government accountable right now is the opposition. But they're not doing that. They're not doing their job.
They think they are. They think they are.
They think they are, but they're doing bullshit.
They actually will buff you for saying that because they think they're doing a damn good job, and that the speaker not letting them speak, and the Senate president not letting them talk, and that the EBC TFT election, all is excuses. But you and I not hearing them nowhere, but you're hearing me, and you're hearing Winston, and you're hearing Inchan, you're hearing Suzette, but you're not hearing the whole opposition that being paid to do this. Anyway, sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, no, sorry. Listen, brother, your position on shit right now, they're showing their weakness every day. But let me get to my question.
But I want to say this to you because you're sounding very strong. I want to say this to you with respect. Everything that you want to recommend on any video I doing, just make sure that it is lawful and law-abiding and in connection with the rule of law. Because I have to stand for that. Okay? You understand that?
You understand that, yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, so the question is this, right? Like I said, we cannot depend on the people in this country. We cannot depend on the opposition, right? What is there in place in the Constitution? Is there some law? Is there some organization, whether in Trinidad or out of Trinidad, that could hold a government accountable for when they go rogue, like this PNM government is right now? Is there any organization that could come in and say,
No, because I tell you why. Because you see, you've taken the responsibility away from the only people that have the authority and the responsibility, and that is the people of this country. Nobody from nowhere else. You and I can't speak for the people if the people don't want to be spoken for. From all accounts, 650,000 people in last election happy with the status quo, red and yellow. Happy with it. One side win and the other side didn't, so they want to say, well, I'll wait till I get a chance. But 650,000 people okay with how Trinidad is. Of the million people that eligible to vote, 550,000 people say, to ask with that, I'm not interested in voting. I'm happy with how things are. And you have to understand that. That I will tell you this as a strong, intelligent person. There are at least 183 countries I could think of where you could spend the rest of your life and do well. I deal with people who left Trinidad as engineers, arrive in America or Canada, work as janitor, and build house and car and send the children through university. And happy to still be janitor because they have a good life.
Yeah, but Phillip, understand this, right? I understand what you're saying about going to a next country and being successful. But if you leave your country and go into a next man country, there will always be a stranger in that land. Brother, will never be a home.
And I want to say this to you. At 54, I still here knowing what I'm telling you I should have left a long time ago. I knew this was coming. I want to tell you this. If you are a stranger in a next man land, but your quality of life is better, your family happier, you're safer and protected and have more opportunities as a second-class citizen than if you home in your country. Work this out for me. You dig a hole. If your job is to dig a hole in Trinidad, your job is to dig a hole in America, your job is to dig a hole in England. How much money you get paid for an hour digging the hole in those 3 countries is instructive. Trinidad, you get the least. You are valued the least for your labor. And then, what you get in England and America for digging that hole, when you go to the grocery, 1 hour's work could buy groceries for the day in Trinidad. 1 hour's work can't even buy a pack of the Murray.
Yeah, true. That's facts.
So I'm saying to you, what you said is a fact, and I love my country. I tell people that all the time. There's no part of Trinidad I haven't been, no part of Trinidad I don't know. I went to Tobago once years ago, and I went to do one thing. I took one of the maps they had in the hotel, and I went to every single destination that they had right round Tobago and put an X next to it and I wrote little stories about it on Facebook years ago. Because I wanted to see everything in Tobago, and I thank God I did that. I saw the water wheel and stuff before it burned to the ground, and before they destroyed a lot of this stuff. I saw them with my own eyes. I don't know what to tell you, but our country, the country that we have in our mind, doesn't exist.
Yeah, but Philip, I'll tell you something, huh? I'll tell you something. If the people cannot take the country back from the hands of these politicians, and if the opposition, who's supposed to be holding the government accountable, cannot hold them to task, then partner, we on a collision course to nowhere. And maybe this country needs to crash and burn before it can rebuild.
There are a lot of people who believe that. There are a lot of people who believe that Trinidadians don't take Trinidad seriously because we've never had to. We've never had to fight for it. We've never had to suffer for it. We've never had to go through any kind of turmoil to have it. We've had God as a Trini. We've had no major earthquakes. We've had no hurricane. We've had hurricanes, but nothing that really devastate, like how Dominica and Grenada and them has get devastated. So Trinidad has been spared, and we've grown up soft and we lazy. How it hang its swing. Actually for you. And the average person, what the dichotomy of this thing is, the average person thinks like you. The average person wants better. We all blaming each other.
Well, that is it. We like crab in a barrel, but I want the UNC supporters on the live to know something, right? I want them to know this. The opposition, or the UNC, or Kamala, maybe she was a good government in office when she was Prime Minister, but as an opposition, she's not doing the job that she should do, right? And when people like you and Stephon Rees and others hold she to task for being weak, they shouldn't get vexed. They should be supporting it because the opposition not doing their job, that the job that they should have been doing in the first place.
But I want to ask you a question. When we hold them to task and we make noise, think it make a difference? It's not making a difference. It's not making a difference.
What, you see what you're doing?
You said to me earlier that I am intelligent. I want to tell you, I'm real stupid. I'll tell you why I'm real stupid. I'll tell you why. No, let
me tell you why. If you was real stupid, brother, you would have on a red jersey talking a set of crap. Like how Rowley said, P&M built the San Fernando General Hospital today.
Well, Manning had built the Chancery Lane complex, and the UNC turned Chancery Lane, which was one of those, was San Fernando's version of the waterfront, or it was supposed to be a plum that was given to San Fernando, and the UNC turned it into, because of its proximity to the San Fernando Hospital, because the San Fernando Hospital in a bad way. But no, the PNM didn't build the San Fernando. The PNM didn't build the Port of Spain Hospital. PNM people don't know their history.
Rowley was talking about the San Fernando General Hospital.
But I see that, and but I didn't respond to it. The bricks that build the General Hospital come in this country as ballast in ships before there was a PNM.
Before it had a PNM, precisely.
Correct.
Precisely.
Jeffrey McLean, the head of Citizens for Conservation, did an entire study, a book fatter than the directory, of all the things that wrong with the Port of Spain General Hospital 50 years ago, long before there was a PNM. Rowley on shit. Rowley, let me tell you what's the problem with Rowley. Rowley is dotish and he doesn't know that he dotish. What's worse is his supporters don't know he dotish. So they're buying his shit.
Rowley is the best liar in the world, but he's also the most incompetent liar.
I don't think he lied.
The man can't even lie properly.
I don't think he lying. I think he believes these things that come out his mouth. I think he honestly believes these things to be true. What he is undereducated and silly. But what is sad is that you have people like Rhoda Barrett who they actually say Rhoda Barrett works in the University of West Indies. And if anything is a reason for University of West Indies to lose its accreditation, is that it could hire somebody like Rhoda Barrett to work there. And that she could still continue to be there. But she would find a way to turn it, to make it sound like he was right even though he was wrong. But that exists in both parties. We've stopped caring about Trinidad and the people. And I don't want to frustrate you or anybody else that's listening, but I say to you,
All of us in this country as have it or have had it with the PNM, we fed up. We're looking for a way out right now.
My house was an ONR office when I was a little boy. I was in the NAR when I was still a little boy. I wasn't old enough to vote. We've been saying these things. When you come off the phone with me, go on YouTube and look for Sparrow song, We Like It So, and play it. Play We Like It So, and watch the date of that song, 1980. Go and find Tyrone Hernandez Play, that's his name, and the song is called Vote Them Out. Play that song.
But Phillip, if anybody would go on YouTube and research any calypso back in the 80s, right? Is the same message these calypsos will be sending. The same thing we saying today.
Exactly.
The same thing.
But that's my point. You said
the message was trying to send.
You say we fed up, but I think it's the minority of us who blessed with the ability to see past the bullshit, who have a heart, who have integrity. They have lawyers in this country that don't care. As long as they can make a money and eat a food, they're happy. Doctors. They have doctors who know it's bullshit. They won't speak up. They won't speak out because they can't make a money. But they had to make a money. I am one of the few jackasses that will put aside the ability to enrich myself. And I'm not talking about criminal action like some of them. But there's business that I can't do in Trinidad and Tobago because they victimize me wholesale. I've had a government minister call me and say, you brave enough to send in documents here, brother, and laugh and hang up. And that kind of victimization, Trinidad is not a dictatorship tomorrow. Trinidad is an elected dictatorship. They call a SOE and they just legitimize the dictatorship. And we have little rules. The parliament has to meet on Monday to agree that we have a state of emergency. But it's a simple majority is all that is required. You know how much? You know there's a simple majority in our system? The Prime Minister and the Attorney General. Because the rest of the opposition, I'm not saying they are automatically the minority. The thing is written bad. And we've never fixed it. We've never had a government, not Williams, not Chambers, not Robinson, not Manning, not Pandey, not Kamala, not Rowley. We've never had a government that cared enough to fix it. And I think you said something earlier, and it's become a school of thought that Trinidad has to collapse for it to fix. But I don't think people understand what they're talking about when they say it have to collapse, because we have no money. We have nowhere to get money. It is like you go in the store to buy food and your wallet empty and your left pocket empty and your right pocket empty, and you're looking still in your left pocket and your right pocket hoping at some point money will appear. Money don't come like that. We've lost every way we've ever had of making money, and all our savings has been depleted as COVID-19. Nothing is being done to protect the people's patrimony, and we've allowed it to come to this. We, us, Trinidadians, when we can't get foreign exchange to import food and medicine, Trinidadians not realizing how dangerously close we are to disaster economically. And as the economy falls, everything else falls. and all their maker money specialists, gone. Everybody have their money parked up outside, waiting to go. That's what we can do tonight, you know. Talking about it tonight. It's just to depress and frustrate myself and other people. Because the truth has been the truth since 1980. Since 1976, these truths have been the truth. Something wrong with Trinbagonians.
I think Trinbagonians, they praise politicians too much in this country. They don't understand what they're worth.
My brother, I appreciate your call. I want to tell you something. Don't lose that passion you have. You're sounding young. Don't lose that passion. There needs to continue to be people pushing the same broom that I pushed for all these years. And I will be here and fight for Trinidad. I'll fight for Trinidad as much as I could. But at some point, you have to let the inevitable happen. You have to... The people who... Somebody said... What they said is, there is a consequence to your vote. That consequence needs to become a reality now. All of it. State of emergency, no human rights. You can't... the government ain't giving you no money. You can't go to work. Your business closed down. There is realities to come in Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, the people made a choice. Now it's time for them to face the consequences.
Consequences that are to tribal voting, there are consequences. And again, and has used this forum to tell Suzette Gilly in Holland, you're in a first world country. Don't put God out your thoughts to come back here. They have nothing here for you. They have nothing here for you to win. If you could have put together a party and win an election, I give you 100 points. And then what? Ask any real economist, where Trinidad going from here? Not going anywhere safe. Not going anywhere easy. And I know that people want to... Just wondering if you could point me in the right direction to start. I feel, one, a bit responsible for how things are because PNM got my vote last election, which sadly was my first one. And I also benefited from going to a proper school not run by the government. So being blessed with the opportunity, please tell me what now? I already joined the Citizens Union. I try to educate my friends when I can. Anything else to add? Also bad internet, so I couldn't call. I want to tell you this. The Citizens Union, the reason I'm wearing this jersey tonight is that all of my intelligence and all of my abilities will be used to safeguard and protect our members and to benefit them in any way that I could. So we created a Citizens Union. It is not a political organization. And for now, that's all I'm prepared to do. Good night, Mr. Alexander. Trinidad and Tobago needs an organization like the FBI, which goes after the federal government, not a police force. They're also corrupted that no one is going to create such an organization. Let me explain to you. The reason the United States of America has an FBI is because America is actually 50 countries. Those 50 states are autonomous. They have their own government, and their leader is a governor. And the governor of the state is the prime minister of the state, and they have their own organizations and police force and everything inside of there. And there was a time where, and when cars had become a thing, there was a time that all a bandit had to do, a criminal who was running from the law, all he had to do was cross over a state line and stop. Because the police from one state couldn't follow you into another state. They couldn't touch you. If they shot you there, they were committing murder. So how those 50 states work together is with a federal government that unites them. And that's the United States of America. That's how that happens. So they federalized law enforcement. They gave the federal government the ability to create a law enforcement organization, and that's the Federal Bureau of Investigation. That was the first law enforcement organization in America that could have crossed state lines. That's why the FBI exists. Trinidad have plenty of organizations. We have plenty rules. We have plenty laws. When you look at lawyers, look at their pictures. Go and look at Google laws of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. You can read all. There are plenty. We have laws for everything. What we do have is enforcement. We don't. We have no enforcement, and we have nobody to enforce the consequences of no enforcement. So it's like once you have the people in the office corrupt, the office corrupt. Good night. I left for America about a month ago as I no longer can deal with Trinidad and Tobago. Upon reaching here, I realized that even though COVID was upon us, America would not shut down because this country runs on money. And the impact it would have on the economy, which leaves us to wonder, why did none of our ministers take that into consideration? As we speak in Baltimore, hours of businesses are going back to normal and mask requirements are lifted. It seems as though this government is putting fear into the housing citizenry to facilitate more theft and corruption, instead of getting professionals to analyze and take control of the COVID. Make responsible decisions when it comes to vaccine types and open back the legal borders, while rallying the Coast Guard to secure the sea border. I want to tell you this, nobody needs to die from COVID. The majority of people who get COVID-19 survive on their own. And we can't lose sight of that. The 99% get COVID and recover. Is a small group of people that succumb. And those people fall into categories because not everybody will get COVID. It's such a stupid concept. Not everybody gets malaria. Not everybody gets diabetes. Not everybody gets the flu. We get bad flus and bad influenza and people tell me it's worse than all of them. It's not. We've been charting COVID from day dot. Go on worldodometers.com right now. And the first thing you see is all the people that got COVID from then to now and how many of them just recovered without a vaccine. And I'm not speaking against vaccines because there are some people who believe in vaccines and you should get it if you do. You should get it if you do. They have too much people in the world. So if some people want to take vaccinations, go for COVID if you want to be a guinea pig, because I believe that that's what it is. The medical fraternity is on top of COVID. You see, we're not mad rushing for ventilators and all kind of thing anymore. We on top of it. Trinidad, I don't know what they're doing in our public health. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing in our public health. I'm telling you, but all of this spike and all of this people who getting this sick and dying, we're doing something wrong. We're not doing something right. I don't believe we're handling it properly. I don't. What are you going to do? This is the government. We're going to wait till elections. That's the law. But I don't think this government knows what it's doing. I don't think Terrence D. Alsing knows what he's doing. I don't think him and his 4 junior doctors have a clue what they're doing. Honestly. See if they have any more WhatsApps. And listen, Wassa is saying once you have the letter with the CEO signature and in a marked Wassa vehicle, we can operate during the curfew hours. The Commissioner of Police said clearly he's not buying that. I don't know what is the role of function of a legal department. Okay, Wassa, listen to me. The Commissioner of Police did say in a marked utility vehicle, you're safe. Please look into these people trying to set we up. No curfew passes for Wassa process plant operators and system operators. That's on you. If you are essential to Wassa, you'll be in a Wassa vehicle. Has our health experts thought about comparing any available COVID data from neighboring Venezuela against ours to see if there may be any relationship? I doubt. People are asking me about this document that all over the internet about cease and desist. I don't know if that's a real thing. People are asking me some questions that I can't answer. More testing. If someone is asymptomatic and received the vaccine, what is the outcome? I don't know. But I heard the Prime Minister say that he cannot get the vaccine for 6 months because he had COVID. Stefan Rees asked, what about those people who take in vaccines who might be in the 14-day stage that they have COVID and they don't know it yet? I don't know. I can't answer that. They say Wassa South Regional Office has COVID. Listen. Remember that Phillip, whatever happened to the bumper squad for the roadmap to recovery? What recovery? Load of rubbish as usual. And they say they already start. Camille Robinson Reggie said they start the roadmap. This is it. Surajatan Rambachan says doctors under attack. COVID-19 patients' lives at risk at Couva Hospital. And he calls for urgent investigation into claims that senior doctors are being forced out of the Couva Hospital by NCRHA management amid the deadly COVID-19 crisis. There is a feeling in Trinidad that it is coming apart. The whole thing. How's he feeling? The state of emergency, I think, is to give the government control of the country. I don't think this has anything to do with COVID-19. But my concern are the people who are at risk right now, financially, can't make their bills, can't pay their rent. People who were doing the right thing, who was obeying the law, working, paying the bills, minding their family. I don't know what to do for them. And I want to say that that argument that there is a consequence to your vote, we all living the consequences of that vote right now, whether we accept it or not. If you vote a government into office and it fails everybody, not just you. So the thing about a democracy is there's a consequence to your vote either way. But there is a happiness in people who accept that they need to live somewhere else. And they learn the new environment, they learn new mountain ranges, they learn the roads, they learn the maps, they learn the area. They develop their own little life wherever they go. And they miss home. But besides missing home, they're happy. And you can always come back to Trinidad if you're missing home, once you can afford it, and go on a beach and eat a shack and bake. And I highly recommend that if you leave Trinidad, come back every now and then and just go and renew your ID card or your driver's permit. Try and do something simple like apply for approvals for something. Just, the UNC had created, and I'll never forget this, that you could register a company in 24 hours. Now, that can't happen again. This PNM has destroyed Trinidad and Tobago. And you could ignore putting the blame where it belongs, but it is the cook in the kitchen that's responsible for the food. It is the cook in the kitchen that's responsible for the food. It is the pilot in the cockpit responsible for the safety of the passengers in the plane. It's the driver in the taxi that gets you to your destination in one piece. There is a consequence to this government. We are facing that now. Because I asking questions. Why have we never secured our borders? And you could ignore that. You could ignore it. Why have we never secured our borders? What is the purpose of this state of emergency where COVID-19 is concerned? How does this state of emergency impact on COVID-19? These are questions I want answers for. And 9 to 5, people say 9 to 5 not good enough, get them 6 to 6. Brother, you could start the curfew for today, you could start it next week and let it run till last week. It doesn't matter. What is the impact of it on the actual COVID-19? Why are so many people succumbing to COVID-19 now? Why did we build 6 tents in the shadow of millions of square feet of covered space with plumbing and electrical and air conditioning and facilities? Why? I don't have the answers. And to the people who calling me and messaging me for hampers and to tell me their story, I can't answer you. What am I say? I feel for you? I can't answer you. There's nothing I could do. Everything that I could have done was between 2017 and August 10th, 2020. I left Michael Jordan say the reason he wins is because he leaves everything on the basketball court. And I felt politically that I did that. I held nothing back. I put everything out there. There's not more I can do. There's a government. There's a political party that won an election. There's another political party that won as the opposition. And those two bands of people are responsible for this country being where it is. And there are people in the opposition who tell you that their job is to sit down and wait for the government to crash. That's not your job. The rest of us, we could do that because we're powerless. And we still trying. We still doing a little candlelight vigil and candlelight movement and petition, and we still trying. You are paid. You are paid to stand up against inefficiency, incompetence, corruption as you work. You drawing taxpayer salary under false pretenses and making excuses and hoping the government collapse so you could take their place. And that's the bullshit of our country. And what are the rest of us going to do? What? Can't go and march now. Because we'll get COVID and dead. So we sit and watch our country fall apart. We said this was coming. This is going to happen. This is the consequence of that action. Here we are. And we're going to continue to do the same thing. After this live video, some will love me, some will hate me, some will say, that man, savant. You're talking shit, don't take it on. Don't share nothing this clown talk about with me. I just see it now. I tell all you, lizard shit. Flick them away. I'm not interested in them anymore. I don't want to convert nobody. You don't like me? Keep walking by. Just keep passing on. Like all the other people that you never interact with in your life, do interact with me. It's no problem. I don't have to impress you or anybody else. My only job, my only mission is to myself, to my parents, my children, my community. And that when I think of myself, I am satisfied that I have done plenty more than is required of a citizen in a democracy. I have gone so far beyond my responsibility as a citizen that everybody who tells me, Philip, you need to stop, are correct. They're right. And all of those who live in large because of corruption, when you and yours are casualties of this, don't look to nobody else to blame. A tree bears a fruit. And if you plant a tree that bears a fruit, when it bears, don't cut the tree. You plant it. There's nothing more I could add. We're in a state of absurdity, not emergency alone. This country has a focus on a pandemic that should not be in Trinidad and Tobago. Where it come from if we lock down and the borders close? Where? Where it come from? Did it come from the virus? Did it come from the Venezuelans? Did it come from Mars? At some point, somebody who is paid taxpayers' funds to hold a big position needs to answer to the loved ones of all those who have died. Where did this come from? We paid you to protect us. That's the work. You do the job. You failed. Don't blame us. That was your job. All the rest is bullshit. Where it come from? Somebody know. Somebody know. There's somebody in this country whose job it is to watch our coastline and monitor what's coming and what's going. That's somebody's job. The first intercontinental satellite radar dish outside of the United States of America was built in Trinidad and Tobago, in Chagaramas. It's still there. That's the 40s, 50s. To track intercontinental ballistic missiles. That's something the size of an LPG cylinder. And we had radar facility in this country in the 50s while we still had landline and dial, rotary dial, while we still only had black and white TV with two rabbit ear antennas or antenna on the roof. This country was able to track an LPG cylinder flying overhead. There's somebody right now, tonight, with the capability to monitor our entire coastline. That they don't act on it is for them to answer. There is somebody responsible for that. Why we don't secure our borders. Until they can answer questions like that. But everybody, wear your mask, social distance, don't go out unless you have to. Do not trust our healthcare system to look after you if you get COVID. That's the problem. Because if you get it, it is those people, if you get it and you get it serious, it's those people that will take care of you. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Secure the elders. We've been saying this since January 2020. Secure the elders, those with comorbidities. If you don't have to go out and get something, stay home. As ridiculous as that is, 16 months into COVID-19, still, in a country, 2 islands in the sea, that we should have secured, isolated, locked down, we would have been living in Trinidad and Tobago, partying, zessing, nightclubbing, living, going to Tobago, having your weddings, having your vigils, and we'd be okay, because we have no COVID. Where did COVID come from? That's the question you have to ask. Until next time, Stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.